All right, guys and girls, the most interesting subject in the world is mold. I've got expert property manager Cleo here talking about the fix with mold. Can you get the same job done for $5,000 that costs you $5 in property management? We are experienced in this field. We're going to share our knowledge with you. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Expert property manager of 500 years looking after 1 million properties, Cleo.
How are you, Mark? It's been a little
Good.
bit.
It's been a while. It's been 5 weeks. We haven't done.
Yeah, I must admit I did enjoy a bit of a sleep in. But now we're
Yeah.
back to it.
So guys, tune in 7:45 every Thursday to get the property management expert insights. But today we're going to talk about mold. Why did you want to talk about this topic today?
I don't know. I was going down this sort of Mythbusters attitude, and I was doing some training with the gang yesterday, and all my topics usually arise from day-to-day things we deal with in property management. So mold, obviously in winter, it's a big thing that comes up in rental properties with tenants, with even myself in my home, ventilating your property and just what you can actually do to help, because sometimes it can be a really big issue. Sometimes it's just a little issue, but if you don't tackle it, it becomes a big issue. There are these companies that do special mold cleaning. They basically have created a full-on business and market around making a tenant feel like they're in a safe, healthy environment by going in there totally Ghostbuster style. They wear the hazmat suits and they go in and they do what's called fogging, which is a fancy spray gun that has their solution, and they defog the house and clean the house, but it doesn't come with a price tag below $2,000-$3,000. And then so you get that done, fantastic. Your tenant has peace of mind. It's been professionally mold cleaned, and then the mold comes back. It comes back. So what you want to do first, obviously, is treat the source, find out what's causing the mold. Usually it's a lack of ventilation. It could be from a leak. It could be structural. Sometimes it could be just because you're by the beach and you're in a ground floor apartment. This is always going to happen. No matter how much you Sikaflex all the windows or, replace the roof, do whatever, it's still going to come back. It's a structural thing that can't be changed. So then mold cleaning becomes a maintenance thing. So that's sort of where we were going along the lines with this topic. So our professional cleaner in the office, she does about 3 or 4 mold cleans every week, and she's very, very good. And when you have her, pardon?
Advanced.
Yeah, she's advanced. She knows what she's doing. She does bathroom mold. She does, bedroom mold. You get mold on your windowsills. You get mold anywhere. It can be anywhere. And she has her solution, which isn't, rocket science. You only have to go onto, any of the websites, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, ChatGPT, and they'll give you 1,000 home remedies for cleaning mold. At the end of the day, they work, and then it's a maintenance thing. Maybe twice a year you'll use them and clean it if you don't want to do it yourself. And I can understand that, getting up there in those hard to reach areas for a tenant and even for anyone is annoying. So you want to get someone else in to do it for you. That's great, but not at that price tag of like $3,000-$4,000. And then they write out a report and they say to you, oh, it's now been sanitarily, cleaned. You're fine. You're not going to cough. You're never going to get a cold.
Disease.
No mold spores. Yeah, there's not one spore in this house.
Big word. Um,
I know.
but if you go to tribunal on mold, this is valid. This is a big thing. Um, it's relevant, and you can't just brush it under the carpet and say she'll be right, mate. As a landlord, and as a
No.
tenant, you certainly don't want to do that. But it sort of goes a little bit that way, where you go, "Who's is this the tenant's fault or is this the landlord's fault?" I think from the beginning we have to start off. Water. Uh, Water is the world's way, God's way, someone's way of mold is is a natural way of letting people know that there's a problem.
Yeah, it's moisture
You know,
and it's the end result.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's even decided to make itself black, not white. So it really stands out, mold. So it's nature's way of saying, like, hey, we got a problem here. Now that problem, if you are masking that problem and not fixing that problem, it's more often than not that you've masked the problem. If that makes sense. You haven't fixed it. It comes back, you masked it. Um,
Mhm.
where it goes wrong, I think, is if people if they misdiagnose, which happens in a lot of things, if they
Yeah.
misdiagnose it and they're paying big bucks to get it fixed, and it misdiagnose, it can cost you tens of thousands of dollars, and this is a huge problem. And of course, mold is damp. And damp is no good to sleep in it, to be amongst it, or anything like
No,
that.
it's unhealthy, definitely.
We're no experts on mold. We're coming from a real estate agent's perspective of practicality, where we're fixing it or attempting to fix it, and managing 2,000 properties and managing properties for over 20, 30 years, you get real good at it. So we sort of wanted to share that with you today, what we know and what we don't know. Where do you start and where do you finish when you get some, what does a complaint look like?
You'll get an email with photos. It's usually if it becomes unmanageable for a tenant, they will email you the photos so you can see what they're dealing with. And most of our tenants will go through a process of trying to fix the problem themselves. They'll purchase a dehumidifier, they'll keep it running, and then if their stuff starts to get affected, or they feel unhealthy, or their clothes are starting to show this or that, or their beds, for example, couches, usually that's where it starts. This is too much for me to handle now, I can't keep on top of it. That's when we have to diagnose the underlying issue. Is it the landlord's responsibility? Is it a leak? Is it a maintenance job? Or is it a ventilation issue? Everything closed up, no cross flow, drying of clothes inside all during winter, all these things that can contribute to the issue. So we first will go in with our plumber to basically check that there's no active water leaks. Once we can ascertain that that's not the case, then we look at other things like roofing and guttering, maybe windows, and we'll make sure that that's not the problem. If that is the problem, then we have to fix that problem. And in the
Well,
meantime,
when I grew up, and when I'm much older than you, not
not really.
you're so
Yeah.
much younger. When I grew up, building changed. I remember in the corner of every single bedroom and every single living room, spiders could come through.
Where from? Yeah.
Do you remember those little grates
Yes.
that was right? So building has changed as well in the defense of mold, where there used to be a grate in the top corner, and this is going to sound foreign to some people because building standards, building code of Australia, all that stuff's changed. People don't do it. It was best practice, and people don't have to do it, so they don't do it. But get a blanket. There's a bit, and people used to cover it with paper sometimes through winter, and not cover it. We
Sticky
used to
tape.
see
They still do it.
they still do it. And then I remember, people saying, "Oh, I guess spiders coming through that." But like, no, behind that, there's actually a fly screen. But what it was that in the top corner of the room, it was a grate, and on the outside of the building, not directly opposite, but in another point in that wall, there was the identical grate on the outside. Cross flow, allowed airflow. So I've got to say, from the get go, talking about solutions, if you're waking up, and no one teaches us this, there's not a class, there's not a damp course for humans or kids or what. Nah, no one teaches. But if you're waking up in the morning and your window in the bedroom has water coming down the inside of the glass, you haven't had the window open, and you should. That's easy. Get a friggin' blanket or an extra blanket, but there needs to be ventilation in rooms, be it a bathroom, a wet area, be it a kitchen, be it a bedroom. There needs to be open that window. Get
Totally.
and I think people sometimes they look at you like a kook and go, what do you mean? But we do literally go into properties and it stinks. And you can't actually, you don't know because you're there every day. So you don't sort of have that awareness and you think that's normal. But I find that people now are actually, are closing up a little bit more, turning it. Aircon is a mechanical way of doing it.
Yeah.
But there is a natural way of doing it. And just good old fashioned airflow through these units is so bloody important.
You definitely need to have the windows open, and when you leave for work, leave them open. It'll be cold when you get home. That's when you can shut everything up, put the heater on, and then back again in the
Sure.
morning, open it all up. And even bathrooms, which are very, very mold prone, if you're not regularly keeping on top of cleaning your shower and things like that. Also, just to quickly touch up on fans. So fans are a structural thing in units. Strata do look after the fans. If your exhaust fan isn't holding up a piece of toilet paper when it's on, there's
Yep.
something wrong there. It's not dragging enough of there's something wrong with the fan. So then you've got to let your agent know. It's too late for us when we come to do the routine and your ceiling's black to then say,
Yep.
oh, the fan's stopped working. It's like, well, we need to know the fan's not working so we can fix that. So then we can make sure that, when you shower, you're not going to get all this mold on your ceiling.
And in some strata buildings, it's law to have that fan going. You don't think it's actually going because you can't hear it. But on the top of the building, there's a master fan that extracts out of the 10 bathrooms in the 10 units in the unit block of 10. And it actually stays on 24/7. So it's a natural cross flow. So we've sold in buildings that are brand new that actually it is a council, it's part of the building code and it's part of a council certification to actually have that as cross flow, where those things are actually are forcing air through the property. But clothes need it, beds need it, pillows need it, curtains need it, carpet needs it. Cross flow air is friggin' important, and it's such a lay thing to talk about, but it's so bloody important in your everyday living in a rental property.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And yeah, before I go to work this morning, I'll be opening up all the windows. I'll be making sure that all the bedroom, steam has gone out. So then we don't get any more.
Freshen up.
Yeah, that's
Freshen
it.
up. Leo, thanks so much for today. I think we've hopefully just cleared up a little bit for people. There is a little bit of responsibility on an occupier with mold, and sometimes it's not always actually a problem. It's just a practice that you should be practicing on a daily basis. And sometimes it's a problem. If it is a problem, be careful that you don't get ripped.
Totally. See you next week, guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.